hope you had a good time so far. So yeah, my name is Philipa. I'm working on this thing here called Clerk, which is a live programming toolkit for Clojure. And I'm also a member of the Tentpole Computing Collective. But this talk, right? So this talk, like, whoa, what's happening to the talk title? That's weird, I guess. Like, I didn't do this, but I guess I'm just gonna roll with it. Okay, so let's start with something light first. So WTF, right? So WTF is just a great teacher. Like many great things start with a WTF. I really like it in a way. And I want to tell you a story about some recent ones that I had and what they made me think about, I guess. So I'm working on this eToys remake for the modern times. Who here knows eToys? Oh, many people know eToys. It's great. So for those who don't, it's a child-friendly educational computing environment, and it was designed by Alan Kay in the 90s while he was at Disney. And we dubbed this Toys. I'll show it to you real quick. We have music, yes. So it's still very early. You can draw some stuff, like you can add some scripts to it, give it some behavior. Like here's a little car. And the car moves around a little bit, right? So I'll show you one more. I'll show a bunch of weird demos now. So this is a little turtle. So sometimes you have multiple drawings, and I guess you want them to interact a bit. So there's a way to build up these relationships. Okay, you get the idea. And then there's one last one that I want to show you, which made me think for quite a bit. So I wanted a drawing to be able to draw another drawing, right? And once you go into this direction, it really opens a can of worms. Do you hear me? Sorry. Okay, it's better now. It's better now. Music is important though. So I figured this opens a can of worms because now you have an object which can create another object, which can create another object, which can create another object, and they all kind of like depend on each other. And it's kind of strange and overwhelming, and I kind of like ended up here, I guess. So by thinking about what this little dot can do, we kind of enter the realm of strange properties. So I started thinking about recursively drawing stuff and how properties could recursively propagate between the drawings. And that made me think about what other geometric properties are out there. And then I thought about mirrors, and I know I got pretty overwhelmed by this, and it's supposed to be a kids app, right? So yeah, kids app. I feel I don't want to talk about it yet. But let's say I got to this point where I decided to take a step back. And I thought, before I do much further thinking about how any of this is supposed to work and how these weird properties relate to the eToys thing, I better explore some of these weird properties first for a bit, by themselves, kind of like in an isolated environment. So I started this weird mirror thing because that's definitely something that I wanted to have in eToys. So here's a weird mirror thing. Oh. What does it do? So this creepy little thing, I feel it's kind of like it's teaching me some things about you know, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, I mean, I did some more. Like, here's another one. Okay, so and there's so many strange mirrors out there. It's quite amazing. Like, and all these questions came up all the time. Like, what does it mean if a mirror crosses over itself, right? What does it mean if you would have multiple mirrors? How could they interact? What does it all mean, right? What does it all mean? It's quite overwhelming. And then I realized that it doesn't matter, you know? It just doesn't, like, I mean, what could it mean, right? We are kind of the creators of these things that live inside the computer, and we can make them do whatever. And we can explore them by making them explorable. And I find this really beautiful. And of course, there's people who do this already. Like there's this Toad Pond video that I like a lot. It's this time-traveling frogs that break continuity and destroy time completely. And it's open source, and I've been playing around with it for a bit, and I had a great many WTFs, I guess. There's another one, it's a lovely thing called 4D Toys, and it explores what it could mean if you had access to the fourth dimension and how you could perceive it as somebody who's living in a three-dimensional world. The video actually work? Okay, I guess you really have to play around with it to get a feel for what it does. So tangibility, right? Yeah, I feel not yet. Sorry, soon. So whenever I'm spending time like exploring the strange properties, I'm thinking back to this video of Seymour Papert that was made by the Logo Group. It was like in the 60s or 70s or something, and they did these workshops with kids, and they tried to teach them recursion and stuff. And I love this so much. Let's take a quick look.
Name of the procedure. You hear wow. Hand up. Let's try. Wow. Wow. Okay, now we're going to change it. When you hear wow, you put your hand up, you pull it down, you say wow. Let's have one person start. Who would like to do it? Okay, you do it. Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Let's try somewhere else. You do it. This. Wow.
Wow.
Hey, when I said wow to her, why didn't you put your hand up? Let's try again. Whenever you hear the word wow,
Okay.
you put your hand up, you pull it down, and you say wow. 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 What are you waiting for? What do you think's happening?
She's supposed to do it again.
Why?
I said wow.
Okay. Let's try again. Wow.
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 So isn't this lovely? Like they just learned recursion and they felt it with their entire bodies. Like so tangibility, right? I think there's something very special about these strange properties. Like they are sometimes really hard to make sense of. And so they push us to make these explorations that are tangible, just so that we can actually understand them. But what is tangible, right? Like what does it even mean for something to be tangible? Like, is this tangible? I mean, I guess so in some way, right? Like, I mean, it's definitely more so than scrolling through a spreadsheet. you say this captures the essence of tangibility? I don't know. Like, I don't know. You know what? But I really think we don't fully know yet what tangible computing is, and I think we try to capture some of the aspects of it by doing all kinds of things to various degrees. But really, it's still a lot of this, I guess. I mean, it's not entirely true, of course. Like, I mean, we already know a fair bit about what it is. Like, it's about making something abstract a little bit more concrete, probably by making it visual and manipulable to some degree, and all of this happening in kind of like a tight feedback loop. And with all these ingredients, we are then kind of like able to somehow feel our way towards an outcome and explore a system a little bit. But I feel that sometimes there is this neglected part, and that is, so the result of what you're doing within that system makes you feel something as well in return, you know, like an insight or confusion or surprise or delight or sometimes even sadness. Feelings. Sorry? And so in a way it's feelable computing, right? I think I want to believe somehow that the future of computing is somehow feelable. And I mean, emotions are an integral part of learning, right? So they promote engagement, motivation, and so on. So I don't know, like, I feel you have to answer this question for yourself, sir. So there's this, right? There's dynamic land. And
or the middle of the room. So it's computation like electric lighting, wherever people need to be, whatever stuff they need to work with. This typically makes use of projectors and
I
cameras.
feel everybody knows what or who dynamic land is by now, right? So, but are they tangible? I mean, hell yeah, of course they're tangible. Like, is it feelable? You bet, it's feelable. It's great. Does that mean computing has to be physical to be tangible? You know, I kind of refuse to believe that. Like, okay, we're entering danger zone now. So instead, right, I want to believe that it's very much about the emotional ingredients that make something more or less tangible. That it's about finding ways to spark joy and wonder and increase the delight a little bit, you know? Not so much about if you're holding something in your hands. So, turn this down a little bit. I'll show you a nice cable. I feel it's a nice cable. Okay, so it swings and it jitters as the values flow through it, and it pops off nicely, you know, and it disappears in a cloud of smoke, and it makes a satisfying smack when you pull it off. Here's another one. Like, how do you know if you're inside or outside the mirror world, right? Okay, I guess I'm wrapping up already, but I guess I want to believe that a big, sometimes neglected part of tangibility is designing for an emotional response. And I'm not claiming this is the whole story, but I want to believe that it's a big part of it. And I don't mean skeuomorphism here. This is not about skeuomorphism, this is not about style. It's not about style at all. It's about designing for an emotional response, and that can use whatever, you know, sound, visuals, you name it. Okay, and there are these strange properties that we started with, right? So I think they're very special, because I think the best way to understand them really well is to build things that let you feel your way towards them, which in turn makes you feel them. And I want to believe that a nice thing to understand tangibility would be a toolbox for the weird. So what is it? I I think it's a toolbox that's probably full of this, you know, and probably also this, and also this, and that's it. And if any of this interests you, please like talk to me. Thank you very much.
That was great. We got questions?
Sorry, what was the question? No questions?
You were just pointing into the crowd.
I figured somehow.
Should we just pass people the mic and be like, you now must ask a question?
No, it's fine. Like,
Over here. We got questions.
So one of my specialties is backronyms.
oh, backronyms.
WTF.
Yes,
Weird Tools Fan.
yes, that's great.
Good. Also not a question.
I'm going to ask a silly question, which is
Please.
just about, like, can you talk a bit more about tangible computing, like as in, like, where did this, I actually haven't heard the term much before. I don't know much about, like, the history of where it's
Okay.
been used before, and I'd love to know a bit more about,
So yeah, I guess like there is a kind of like started with the actual physical sensation, right? So there's these demos of there's actually sand demos, like you could place your hands inside, like there would be a 3D graph that's composed of cylinders that a computer kind of like adjusts, and you could actually touch a graph or a plot in a sense. So it really comes from, like the term comes from different physical modalities around some computing. But I feel it's a term that has been used so often by now, especially like in the realm of explorable explanations and data visualization. So it's almost, to me, an empty term. So that's why I didn't really want to use that term, I guess. But I feel there is an important aspect to this, which we shouldn't really neglect. It has to do with learning. But also, I don't really know the full story yet. I feel it's a bit of a black box. Okay.
This was really wonderful, thank you. I just wanted to know, how do I know if I am in the mirror world?
How do you know? You don't. Sorry. Like.
Thinking of Lou's talk this morning, I feel in the same way that from this room, we should just harvest infinite phrases, like tangible computing. Okay, malleable computing. Anyone got anything else? What do we got here? Right?
Moldable.
Right? And then I would use it for evil and feed an LLM and use that to generate talk descriptions and auto-submit it to all open CFPs
that's
in the world.
basically how I made my talk. Like, I didn't, like...
Amazing. That was lovely. Thank you very much,
Thank
Philipa.
you.